mini-series on survival, first aid, and disaster preparation. So this is going to be several videos that we're going to do for you, but this one's going to be broken into two parts. In part one, I'm going to show you my first aid kit, both for home and travel. And then in part two, I'm going to show you my emergency planning, what I do at home, what I have ready to go, my grab and go kit, and then how we put that together. So before I show you my first aid kit, I just want to address a couple of points that are really important. Number one, why is it that most people don't get prepared? They just don't believe something bad's going to happen. And until it does, they really don't pay attention. Or they think it's too hard or it takes too much work. It doesn't take that much work. That's why we're doing this. We're actually spoon feeding you the steps. It's not that hard. The second thing I really want you to think about is make sure that you and your child are certified in CPR. Just basic CPR saves hundreds of thousands of lives every year. It's very, very important just to have those basics. Now, here are some photos of my first aid kit. So you can buy a basic kit for like $27 from the Red Cross, and it's got things like aspirin, Neosporin, antiseptic wipes, anti-itch cream, trauma pads, gauze, tape, cold compresses. It's actually got a little blanket in it, bandages, scissors, flashlight, gloves, tweezers, and of course Band-Aids. So it's got all the basics. You also want to have on hand things like glucose tablets, because you never know if somebody is going to have like a blood sugar crash, or someone with diabetes may end up in trouble. So some glucose tablets. You want to have, like I talked about, maybe an EpiPen, but not unless you know how to use it. So you want to make sure that you have some things like that. Believe it or not, some basic stuff like Imodium. So a lot of times people end up, really feeling sick because of some just minor stuff like diarrhea. So Benadryl. Benadryl's another one. These are all over-the-counter medications, but when someone has allergic reactions, those are things you're going to want. Burn relief, mosquito repellent. These are things that you're going to want, or also some sting relief. So if somebody gets stung by a bee or bitten by mosquitoes, it can just make people absolutely miserable. A lot of times these aren't major emergencies that we're having to deal with. A lot of times it's our kids. They get glass in their foot, or they get stung by something, right? Or they cut themselves. So one of my favorite things in my kit, wound seal. So you don't always have to rush off to the emergency room if it's not a huge gash. Wound seal is miraculous, and it saves people from having huge scars from stitches if it's not a huge gash. So now that you know what to do with your home first aid kit, let's talk about your travel first aid kit. Oddly enough, a lot of people don't even think about taking a first aid kit with them when they travel. But what are you going to do if you travel and something happens? It's very hard to get medications in some countries. It's very hard to get blister Band-Aids. So believe it or not, it's not big emergencies that often happen when you travel. It's usually the little things that ruin people's vacations. Things like headaches, diarrhea, blisters. Blisters are a big thing. But also people wearing open-toed shoes and they cut their feet. So you want to make sure you have these things. You don't have to go crazy. I tend to go a little crazy, I admit it. I travel with antibiotics and Advil and EpiPens and things like that. You don't have to. So you want to know when you travel what you can get a hold of and what you cannot get a hold of. But make sure you at least have the basics. You have the bandages and you have things to clean out cuts easily so that you don't have to wait to get somewhere. Again, always take wound seal with you because that stuff is just miraculous. So I hope that was helpful, learning about my first aid setup, and I would love to hear what your first aid kit at home looks like if you have one. If you don't, please let me know if this has been helpful, and let me know if there's anything else we can do to help you get your first aid kit set up. You can also go to the Red Cross, just go to their website. They have wonderful information, as does your local city. So for example, I live in Newport Beach, newportbeach.com. They've got amazing information with lists and all sorts of preparation information for you. So please let me know if this has been helpful. Leave your comments below.